this is Claire from Stampin Squirrels, and I've got a little, I don't know, I call it a French fancy card today using the lovely hot dog set. Now, as you know, we're having a bit of a blitz using hot dog and showing all the different ways you can use this lovely little set. So I particularly was drawn to the fact that you've got bonjour and the little beret. So that's what I'm going to be using as the sort of key influences in my set today. So let me show you first of all my card. And this is what we're going to use. So I just loved it. For those of you that know me, you know I have a love of all things French, and this is no exception. So what I wanted to make sure was that I had everything in hand to make it all go really smoothly. And I've just realised I've forgotten my scissors. So I'm just going to get my scissors and I'll be back in a moment. Now I'm with scissors. Okay. So what I've used for this set, and I just love the fact that we've got a number of different elements that give it a real sort of French feel. This lovely stripy paper, which comes from the Fields and Flowers paper set, which I have to say was in celebration, but it's still lovely. And then we've got some colours. I wouldn't say I normally use Flirty Flamingo as a go-to colour, but I just love it in this instance, and some nice basic black. So let's get making. So to start with, I've got a basic white card base, which is all ready to go. I'll put that just to one side. Now we're going to start off by focusing and getting the cardstock bits ready. So I've got a piece of Flirty Flamingo. Now, as you know, I am the younger of the squirrels, so my measurements are always in centimetres. So my Flirty Flamingo card base is 14.5 centimetres by 10 centimetres. I've then got a little black card base, and this is 13 centimetres by 8.5 centimetres. And then what I've done is I'm just going to put my little Fields and Flower strip. Sorry, it's just got a bit, looks like a bit of glitter on there actually. There's the other side, but I'm going to use the stripe side in order to get the effect. And this is 8.5 centimetres by 12 centimetres. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to put my Fields and Flower paper onto my basic black. There we go. There's one bit done. Now the other bit we've done, I used a set which I've loved but probably haven't used as much as I should have done, which is the Ornate Borders dies. Now in the Ornate Borders there are lots of options and lots of things you can use it for, but I particularly love where they do these beautiful edgings. So what I've done is I've cut a strip of basic black. So when I was prepping the basic black for these bits, I had some bits left, and I did it 3 centimetres deep, and I just kept the width, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it to my card base, but then I'm going to trim off the edges so it's all relatively straightforward. And if I go back to my original card, as you can see, it's sort of, I like it because it sort of gives a window frame or a curtain effect in terms of how it's going to look on the card itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue up, and because I know the edges the edges overlap, so I don't need the edges, so I'm not going to put my glue right to the very edges. And then I'm just going to, and I've turned it the way round so I'm going to top at my end, just going to lay it on so it just lines up with the top of the card. There we go. And now that's in place, I'm just going to get my scissors, now I have them to hand, and using the edge of the card as my guide, I'm just going to cut straight down. And this side, again, using the edge of the card, just going to cut straight up. So there we go, there's that bit. And then finally, don't finally anything, just leave it at that. So you've got your piece of Flirty Flamingo and your stripey ready to go. Just putting all of that to one side. Now, I have pre-cut a stitched shaped circle, which is the biggest of the stitched shaped circles. Sorry, that was really hard to say. And on this, I'm going to stamp my little hot dog. Now, I'm doing the little sitting down dog, and I'm just going to give it a little wiggle on some Memento ink, okay? So just plain basic Memento black ink, and then because it's photopolymer, you can see all the way through, and I'm just going to stamp down and get a nice clean image, I hope, of a little hot dog on my ornate circle. There we go, fantastic. And I've then also put the little beret. Again, I'm going to use the beret and just give them a little gentle memento ink. Now I'm just gonna, I want my hat at a slightly jaunty angle, and I've just got to get on top of it to make sure it's all going on right. There we go. Now, to colour these in, what I'm going to use is some Stampin' Right markers. Now, I love the Stampin' Right markers. They've always been my go-to. So for this instance, I'm using Smoky Slate, Flirty Flamingo, and So Saffron. And you're going to say, where's the So Saffron going? So let's use that first, and I'll just show you. So if you look and see, the dog itself has got a very tiny little medallion at the front. So I'm just going to put, and I love the, okay, the other thing I'm going to show you with the Stampin' Right markers is you have a thick and a thin end. So sometimes if it's really delicate, you could just use the thin end, or if you want writing, or just an inside of anything. In this instance, I'm just going to use the very tip of the thick end. There we go. Look how swift that was. Now, I'm going to do Smoky Slate. And I'm just going to use general, because you're going to say to me, oh, it doesn't blend and all that sort of thing. But I think it's about showing all the different ways you can colour in with Stampin' Up products. So you could watercolour pencil. You could use the blender pens. And then finally, for your colouring, the bit that really makes it sparkle is the Flirty Flamingo. So now, people that know Squirrels know I'm a bit of a fan of bright colours, but I'm just not the greatest pink fan. If I have a Stampin' Up go-to pink, for me it would be Melon Mambo, but that wasn't right for this one. So there is my lovely little hot dog, all coloured in and ready to go. Now, what I've also done is I've pre-stamped, if I'm completely honest. There's the new ovals double stamp set, and I've cut out or punched out a basic black scalloped oval, and I've also done the not scalloped, I don't know, the smoothed edged, if I'm going to go and use the dog terms, smoothed edged oval, and stamped on using Memento Black in Bonjour. Now, I want my Bonjour to be slightly offset, okay, like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, so what I try and do before I layer it all together, put it all together and glue it all down so it's definite, I'm just going to put everything together and get a sense of it so I can get a feel for how I want my dog to go. So sometimes it depends on exactly where you stamped your dog as to how you want it to come out. So I quite like that. To me, that's quite good. So I'm going to, yeah, okay. Whoops, I can't get hold of that. Just put that to one side. So I'm just going to glue down the second half of my Bonjour. Now I have because I had to make as you know, I've made a sample and I'm making this one today. So I've got a few Bonjour sets. So I'm actually going to send them over to some French friends who I have who live in Caen in Normandy. So I've got a very old friend called Leslie who I worked with for a long time, and she is a dog lover, so I'm hoping that she'll appreciate this. Now, before I do anything further, and I'm just checking on my main card, yeah, the other thing I had, if you recall, seeing that there it is the ribbon. Now this is the time to tie your ribbon, and what I've done is I've used this lovely black organdy glittery ribbon. Now just beware, the glitter does have a tendency to come off everywhere, but this is the point at which to tie it on before it gets too complicated. Otherwise you end up threading your ribbon through about 600 things and layers and ending up in a big pickle. So I'm not gonna cut anything off until I'm certain I've got it in where I want it to be. So next will just be to position my hot dog. And those loops are still a little bit big, so I'm just going to make them a tiny bit smaller. It's about proportioning it, isn't it, until it all works on the whole card. Let me just get my flirty flamingo bit again, because I think I just need to see and make sure there's enough space for my dog to overlap the edge. So I'm going to tuck my dog in right up against the bow. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so just get rid of my glitter. I'm just going to slightly move that to the left. Next thing, I'm just going to use some dimensionals on the back of my stitched shape circle. Now, I can get a sense of where my finer things are. I always cut my ribbon so I have diagonal ends, just to help them stop fraying and things like that. So there we go. Now, next stage, we're just going to pop that onto the flirty flamingo base. And I'm just going to use some dimensionals again. There we go. And then finally, one final set of dimensionals. And now always make sure your card, this is a classic, okay, the number of times I've done this, got to the card base and stuck it on the wrong, so make sure your card base opens the right way. And then just pop your flirty flamingo base. Oops, I haven't got that quite right. There we go. There we go. And there we go with your French fancy bonjour. Hope you enjoy making it and sending springtime in Paris greetings to wherever you want to. Thank you very much.